Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Inside Movies Galore. This is episode number 79. Here in the room with me, I have Septum Sim with me, who was clobbered by a freak of nature, but he is still with us. So thank you for surviving for this episode.
Yes, I fought a tree monster, but the tree monster is worse for wear. I definitely assure you.
So we're on here to discuss a film that came out in 2015, which is from a director over in Finland by the name of Jonas Mikkonen, and he with the production companies Black Lion Pictures and Jojo the Dog Films and Black Bottom Land Productions. He was able to get his film out on distribution and media. And I was able to, when Amazon actually had a 1,000 limited release of an X-rated pussy edition of this film. And the film's name is Bunny the Killer Thing. Here, folks. You can see the cover. And the number on this limited edition is 226 out of 1,000. So that's actually a relatively lower number, at least to me. But originally, before Raven Banner put out an edition of this film, it went to a distribution company called Artsploitation in the U.S. and it has by far been released on Brownie Pictures from Japan, Minerva Pictures in Italy, Monster Pictures in Australia, Sun Film Entertainment in Germany, Tiberius Film in Germany, which was a DVD and Blu-ray release, so it might have been a media book. And there was also a 2-disc edition put out on VL Media in Finland. So it's definitely had an interesting thing. So, Brandon, I tasked you to watch the film. Why don't you tell me a little bit about what you think the film is about?
Well, it seems to revolve around this mysterious experiments that are going on in the woods, and this unfortunate group of people that seems to be caught up in the midst of this experiment, which involves bunnies and things that are X-rated in that nature.
Well, I'll get straight into it, folks. Evidently, the film starts out with looks like a writer, and I don't know whether it's his girlfriend or fiance or whatnot. They go up to a cabin in the middle of winter. I would have to say I'm not even sure if it's in the woods because they're taken to like a ski resort of some sort or a place where they're doing experiments, and they inject this guy with this serum of some sort and turn him into a 6-foot-tall, furry-suited bunny. So, what did you think about when they that scene where they injected the serum into this?
Well, I didn't know what to expect at the time. I thought they were just going to kill him in some sort of weird Hostel style thing. Of course, as I watched the movie, I found it seemed to have more in common with Hostel than I had thought at first. But I was very surprised, and yet at the same time, I should not have been because of the title of the film. It's actually surprised me the amount of English in the film, so I was able to follow it even when they were speaking in Finnish.
Okay.
So
ultimately, this film you can actually watch it on YouTube for free right now. But the subtitles that are supposed to be there for the Finnish language that is supposedly spoken is actually not there. So, if you folks are aiming to watch this film, you're probably better off having a copy, a physical copy, to understand what they're saying. But we have a group of friends who evidently are trying to also get together for a weekend excursion where said injected man, who has turned into a 6-foot tall bunny, is actually released to the public. In fact, he has escaped his captors, and he is going on a killing frenzy, whipping his penis around, yelling "fresh pussy." So ultimately, what can you describe to us about the characters that are involved in this movie?
Well, you've got one group of characters that is obviously a group of criminals of some sort that turn out at the end to have some sort of link to the main story, but I won't give that much of a spoiler. And of course, they end up running into our group of vacationers. Much like any other vacationing group of teens in your movie, you've got your laid-back sort of like drug type guy. You've got your more innocent person. You've got your much less innocent person, females. And then you've got your younger one who is not experienced in things.
Most definitely. And one of the females actually happens to seem to be sick with some kind of disease or something like that. Isn't that true?
That's what it appears to be.
Like
in this film, of course, yeah.
Like some form.
Of course, it could be also that I lost some things in translation.
Yeah, it could have been. So, but
actually, I had a question for you on this film edition.
Yeah.
Have you watched the regular release of this? Is there a major difference between that one and the X-rated version?
I actually have not watched the original artsploitation film that came out, so I don't know whether there is a difference. I would like to track down a copy just to see if there is a difference. I think the fact that it is on Blu-ray in a region 1 form is why this was a great release to pick up. It was they went really fast. I know that at the time, and I know I grabbed one up when I could. They were, I believe, $25 to $30 online. So
I know the version. I watched the version was very explicit. So I don't know whether if that was the theatrical release, then I would be kind of terrified by what the X-rated one would be.
Well, if in the end that they actually had some kind of a furry party at the end, and you kind of saw a furry female appendage, then at the end there, then you probably saw as X-rated as it probably could have been.
There was a talking appendage too. So.
Exactly, and makes me wonder if there's like a sequel in the future, and I would love to see where that would go. For some reason, this was this was actually my number one favorite film of last year, favorite film release, and that is why I wanted to share some of that, this edition, because this is to me kind of a rarity. Again, you get some photos of some of the posters. in there with the film, so you definitely can see some artwork going in there. So I believe this film was actually marketed really, really well, at least in this release. I mean, it's a shame that there were only 1,000 of these, but you know, it really had some interesting marketing going about it, and that is why I wanted to talk about this film. It is one of those films that are out there, and you and I started talking about some of these weird ass films, and this one I just definitely wanted to get out there, get talked about, and what your thoughts were on the film, and my thoughts as well, and ultimately. I found this film hilarious from start to finish. I mean, it was a very serious matter. I mean, it actually had some darkness to it.
Yeah, it was a very dark humor, really. It was that tongue-in-cheek style, very different from, say, House Shark,
Yeah,
but very similar to the other film that we had talked about,
yeah,
Something Strange. Very similar in a way to that humor, where there's just something extremely absurd, but they take that absurdity very seriously.
exactly, and that's why I wanted to get a film discussion out on that, even if we don't go. In fact, I would like to see what some of the others would say about this film later on down the road, because this is one of those, out of this world kind of, storylines. But
I mean, Street Trash was up there. It could definitely be one of those that would be up there.
well, and sex is for quite some time. Sex has not really been involved as much, at least in films as of lately. Even though I know horror films tend to, strive that line, but this one, especially in the undertones. I mean, you could definitely see that there was an undertone of a sex drive going on here.
I thought that the twist at the end, what they were actually doing with the serum, what they were actually doing at the end was something I didn't think about, but at the same time, it clicked with me. I was like, well, there is a market for this stuff out there.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know why I likened it to Hostel, but for some reason, it just, in my mind, is like, oh, this is like Hostel. But with furries.
Remind me of Hostel, especially in the end with the party that we see going on with the people dressed up as, or not the people dressed up, but it seems like there were a multitude of injected people that these Finlanders were, having sexual relations with, and I mean, it didn't go as violent as Hostel, but I could definitely see the environment surrounding them that was similar, because in Hostel you had all these people around the world paying to see people get tortured, and instead this time around it's like people paid to fuck the shit out of them.
Well, if you think about it, in our society, at least here in the United States, that sort of thing is kind of looked at as cringeworthy or as disturbing as the physical torture. Sometimes even more so for certain people, it's almost ingrained in the culture, that taboo. Because even in horror, it's always the couple that's having sex that dies first, because they committed that sin.
Would you say that because whatever relations that they are having with these animal turned people, do you think that maybe this is a racist remark or racist uh, uh, because it's a different race. Maybe not that I'm saying that it's a message they're out. Um,
Oh, I think there's a dig to the furry population in a way.
the
Because
people who dress up as furry animals and have furry parties. In a
exactly. Because there's a darker edge to that too. That's talked about a lot, and it's infrequent. But of course, you have your weird outlier. Well, weird being a relative term,
well,
but you
even
have your weird outliers in any group, and but they seem to be represented as a whole. And I always wonder if they might be taking a shot at that.
even in the film The Shining, you get a moment of a furry party going on
Yes.
as a hunt. So even so, I mean, some of these images have been glanced throughout some film and or whatnot. So, what were your final thoughts on the film?
Well, it was a very interesting watch. If I had known what I was getting into, I probably wouldn't have started watching it while I was on shift at the hospital. Um, but once I got into a nice corner to watch, I actually thought it was an interesting film. I would probably want to watch it again with the full subtitles, maybe get a little bit more depth into it. But to me, it was a very interesting slasher film, uh, and a different twist on that whole genre. So
Most
definitely worth watching at least once.
definitely, definitely, and our viewers out there, you got to at least watch everything at least once, and so there you have it, folks. This was Bunny the Killer thing. I mean, we didn't get it too much into how some of the actors or what some of the names were, but I wanted to get on and talk about this film with one other person that I respect highly. Thank you, Septim, for coming on and discussing it in your condition.
Well, thank you for having me on tonight. It is appreciated.
Definitely. So ultimately, tonight we have a very cool film discussion coming up on the miniseries Creature, which was originally a 2-night event on either USA or some other channels of that nature, and it was based on a Peter Benchley novel. So definitely check that out and tune in tonight around 9-ish. So definitely catch that tonight. So in any case, thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate your time, and hopefully you enjoy our little reviews that we'll be putting out there. So Septim, I'll catch you later, and I'll see if maybe you can come up with the next film to watch for us. Since I've had the last 3. Alrighty, man.
Take care.
You too.